know about you, but I would be super happy to have this as breakfast brunch on the day before a big celebration meal, or really on any day. This casserole is tasty, even gluten and dairy free. Let's get into it. We're coming up on the most wonderful time of the year, which for me also happens to be the most indulgent. So I like to try to offset some of that indulgence by having on hand a few easy, inexpensive, and nutritious make-ahead meals. Today, I'm showing you a make-ahead breakfast casserole. It's gluten and dairy free, packed with tons of delicious and nutritious vegetables. You can make it vegetarian if you like, and you can also make it the night before for a very easy holiday morning. Hello there, welcome back to my kitchen and happy holidays. Today I'm showing you a make-ahead breakfast casserole. So most of the make-ahead breakfast casseroles that I see recipes for are completely loaded with tons of bread, cheese, milk. All of those things are delicious, but sometimes I want something a little bit more nutritious. The ingredients in today's casserole are a whole bunch of veggies. You've already seen me dice up some sweet potatoes and put them in our single pot that we're using today. They're in the oven with some paprika and a couple tablespoons of avocado oil, cooking at about 400 degrees. I'm just trying to soften them up and roast them a little bit before I mix them with the rest of the vegetable filling. The other ingredients: mushrooms, shallot, though you can substitute an onion, some garlic, a red bell pepper, a bulb of fennel, some baby kale, though you could substitute any dark leafy green that you like. And the egg mixture that will bring this all together: a dozen eggs and a little bit of coconut cream. You can use any milk product that you have here, but in an effort to keep this one dairy-free, it's coconut cream today. So no special tools or equipment are necessary for today's casserole. In an effort to cut down on my dishes, I am using a cast iron skillet that can go from stovetop into the oven. It's starting in the oven actually. But you can use a cookie sheet to roast your sweet potatoes and any other combination of pots and pans that work for your stovetop and into your oven. We're gonna finish the eggs in the oven on this one, but the filling gets cooked on the stovetop. So while our sweet potatoes finish roasting in the oven, I'm just gonna get the rest of our veggies prepped, starting with the shallot. Shallot is a nice mellow flavor and a great substitute for onion, though an onion would work totally fine here too. So I'm just gonna put a dice on the shallot. It doesn't have to be especially small because we're gonna cook it for a bit with the sausage that is also going in our breakfast casserole. Off to the side. Next up, a bulb of fennel. I'm gonna use this whole bulb of fennel with the exception of the stem end. So I'm just gonna chop off the stem end, cut it in half, and cut it kind of like I did that onion. You can avoid the core if you like, which is this piece here, but I find when I'm cooking it, it doesn't matter at all, and I like to keep the core in. So just kind of chopping it up into medium dice, probably. Off to the side. Next, gonna cut up a red bell pepper. I'm also gonna put a similar sized dice on this, a little smaller than I normally would, just because it's nice to have the veggies kind of evenly sized. Gonna give a couple cloves of garlic a rough chop. Perfect. So I'm working with cremini mushrooms, but you can use whatever you have on hand, and if someone in your family doesn't like mushrooms, skip them. My philosophy on casseroles like this, especially something that I'm trying to make a little bit more nutritious that will feed a whole crowd of people, is to beef them up as much as possible with less expensive vegetables versus using a whole bunch of expensive cheeses and meats. I'm going to use a little sausage in today's casserole, but you could easily omit this. There's so much flavor in the veggies that we have going on that it doesn't really require anything extra. I do love the flavor that sausage gives to a dish like this, so I'm going to keep it in. These guys I'm also going to mince a little bit smaller than normal. So just going to make some slices and then cut those down a little. Mushrooms are done. And the last bit of prep before we get to cooking is just to cut up some sage. I'm using a dozen eggs today and all of these fresh veggies plus some sausage. So I've got a boatload of sage here. You can use less or more, or really switch out sage for something else if there's another herb that you like better. For me, sage is still coming out of my garden, so this is the easy, inexpensive route, but use whatever herb is best for your family. And then this baby kale is going to get wilted down as is. If you are using regular kale, you may want to chop it up a little bit, but this wilts down almost like spinach, so nothing more necessary on this baby kale. So all I'm going to do now is gather my first shift of veggies. I'm going to put the pepper, the shallot, and the fennel in all together. They've got similar cook times. So I'm going to put those in a bowl and get them ready for the stove. Okay, first shift of veggies is ready to go in. I'm going to pull our sweet potatoes out and get to cooking over on the stove. Perfect. Cast iron goes on the stove. Going for a little bit more avocado oil in our pot. Pound of sausage goes in. A couple minutes later, and our sausage is mostly browned. It's going to continue cooking as I put in our red bell pepper, fennel, and shallots. Give these a quick stir. Going to add some salt and pepper. Salt I'm adding at this stage so it helps the vegetables to release some of their liquid. But we'll taste this filling before we put the eggs in to make sure that it's exactly where we want it to be. Quick stir, and then this is going to cook for probably 6 to 8 more minutes until the peppers, shallots, and fennel are soft. We're about 4 minutes into this cooking, and I am going to add our mushrooms. Don't panic if your pan is full. The mushrooms cook down a ton, as will everything else the longer that it's in here. And I'm going to sprinkle in our sage and our garlic. So now we're just going to let this cook until the mushrooms are soft and it's sweated out most of their moisture. This mixture will reduce in size significantly. Probably another 4 to 6 minutes or so. Veg is cooking down really nicely. So I am going to get started cracking our eggs. The custard mixture is super easy. It's 12 eggs and 1/2 cup of coconut cream. You can use whatever milk you like. So I'm gonna get started cracking eggs. Coconut cream goes in. Salt and pepper. And we whisk. Just trying to break up the eggs here. Looks good to me. Okay, off to the side. Gonna continue cooking our filling. It's looking great. We've got a couple more minutes left. And then we're gonna put it all together. Okay, just a couple minutes later, our filling is looking absolutely great. If you get some stickage on the bottom of your pan, add just a tiny little bit of water and scrape up whatever has been sticking on the bottom of your pan. But now I'm going to fold in our baby kale. We're just trying to wilt this down a little bit. You can cover it if you like, but it wilts down just fine. It just takes a couple seconds. Kale has wilted nicely, so I'm going to add our sweet potatoes back in and gently fold them. And I'm going to kill the heat at this point. So if you were going to make this ahead, I would recommend making it up until this point. Your filling is done. It needs to cool in the fridge now. Your egg mixture, you can definitely mix the night before, or you can mix the morning of. So on the morning of, if you're making this ahead, preheat your oven to 350. Add your veggie mixture back into the pan. Either mix up your egg mixture or just simply toss the egg mixture on top. And then we are going to cook this in a 350-degree oven until the eggs are mostly set. The center should be a tiny little bit jiggly, but we're just looking for the eggs to be cooked. Usually that takes like 40 to 50 minutes, but it really depends on whether you're using a cast iron skillet or 9x13 pan. 9x13 also works perfect for this amount of volume as well. So last thing, in go our eggs. By the way, I gave this a taste. Tastes perfect. But before you add the eggs in would be the time to add additional salt and pepper or any other spices that you wanted. So this is ready for the oven. Into a 350-degree oven until the eggs are set. Probably gonna take like 40 to 45 minutes, but I will let you know exactly when it comes out. So our make ahead breakfast casserole took exactly 35 minutes. I don't know about you, but I would be so happy to have this on the day of a big celebration meal. Lots of protein, tons of veggies, lots of nutrients, really pretty healthy. And if you wanted even more flavor, add some cheese. As it is, this casserole is super tasty, even gluten and dairy free. Let's get into it. Piping hot. Let's see if I can burn my mouth as usual. So this will definitely get you a safe 6 servings, but you might even be able to squeeze 8 out of it. And at like $3 a person, it's such a great, healthy, easy, nourishing, make ahead breakfast, especially if you're looking to avoid dairy and gluten. Thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate it when you spend your time with me. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more from me, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you here soon. Cheers.